and we wanted to bring everyone together who has an interest in this and explain some things and listen for questions and try and provide answers. But I want to say that the project itself, the Artisan Trail, is a large project. It's a wonderful project that our community and the local governments have gotten behind, and we want to take full advantage of it through your help, with your help, and we hope that you'll pass the word and tell others about it, and don't be shy about, asking questions and such. So without that, by the way, my name's George McIntyre. With that taken in mind, we're going to ask Sherry Smith, who's the director of the Artisan Trail Center, and she's going to give us a little background. See what she can answer.
Thank you. Welcome. Hello. I see some familiar faces. I'm really excited to be here today, really kicking off this Artisan Trail program in your community. It's been a long time coming. You've had a major advocate in Arlene here for about 5 years, knocking on the Artisan Center of Virginia's door about getting a trail going. And finally, all the pieces kind of came together. The synergy, George stepped in to help and get the outreach and the community engagement going with your local governments, and here we are. We, the Artisan Center of Virginia, just to give you all a little background, historically we were a gallery in Waynesboro, Virginia for many, many years, appointed the official Artisan Center for the state of Virginia by Governor Beliles. In 08, the end of 08-09, very sadly, the gallery had to close its doors as part of that economic downturn. And the board of directors for the Artisan Center really went into a tizzy of re-strategizing how they were going to help artisans in the state. And at the time, the membership was predominantly craft artisans. About a year into trying to get out in community, which is where their new strategic plan led them, the state, Department of Housing and Community Development, came to the organization and said, hey, we've been building these artisan trails down in Southwest Virginia. They are locked in Southwest Virginia, and we're looking for an entity that could take them to other communities in the state because a lot of other communities were knocking on the door. The Artisan Center board saw this as a great opportunity because their mission had shifted into one of community development, getting out into the communities where the artisans were feeling the greatest pain after that shift and figuring out, we didn't really know exactly how to do it. Was it exhibitions? What was it? Was it just helping their entrepreneur businesses in some way? What was the way it was going to happen? Well, the trails became that conduit for getting out into more communities, identifying more of the landscape of what it meant in the state of Virginia to be an artisan community. At that time, though, agriculture was coming up into the fold, so we coined the phrase agri-artisan, because we started to look at the connection of Virginia's cultural history, where craft and art and the agriculture all came together and sent this amazing message about unifying the meaning with the making. I mean, as those of you who are craft artisans know, all of your crafts have a basis in functionality. They may be art forms now. You may be hanging quilts on the wall, but they once kept you warm at night, right? Blacksmithing is an art form, but it's also a very functional thing that on the farms, a farm couldn't do without it. So that agricultural story in the rural landscape of Virginia and how that transformed as these items became art forms, as they moved into the urban landscapes and everything, was something that we really watched growing as we were building our first trails and said, this is what needs to be a total community engagement piece. When tourism came into it, and the Virginia Tourism Corporation being one of our major partners in this, they're the ones that help us then be the town crier to tell the outside world what the amazing story is of that community where that trail exists. So you've got this really wonderful triad of looking at community engagement, that community development piece, mixed with the tourism piece that gets the word out But then every individual business, being a small business, often micro business, entrepreneur, who needs that entrepreneur framework also to start to strengthen what they're doing and help them take whatever small or big steps they want to grow. So through that all, we use the Southwest Virginia model to start our trails. Our first trails, although very successful, we switched the model about 3 trails in because we recognized that what they were doing down there was not working as well in the more mixed urban and rural communities that we were working in. So over the years, we have now, I think, come up with a very good unified program that embraces all the trails, including theirs in Southwest Virginia, the umbrella, and like to point to them. And it's made Virginia the artisan state of the United States. There is no other state that has as many artisan trails as Virginia. That's a very exciting claim for us to be able to make. But then when you break it down and you look at the artists in the community, the creatives, all of the craft and the fine arts, and you look at the agricultural arts and how that weaves into the picture, and then the supporting businesses, all the hospitality. Visitors have to stay somewhere. They have to eat somewhere. You know, you've got the restaurants. When you start connecting these communities that haven't always collaborated together to where they're pointing to one another, now you're building an artisan story for that community. You're labeling your hometown and stamping it with that artisan seal of approval, and that is powerful. That's very exciting. So when we come to town and we're starting a trail on a day like this, what we're looking for are a lot of people to get on this trail. Restaurants, cultural sites, artists, artisans, we're going to work together and make this happen. The core of an artisan trail are your artisans, your creatives and your agricultural artisans. All those other amenities and everything are definitely supporting sites in the artisan framework, and we want you working with your artisans. For example, if you're a restaurant, do you have local art on your walls? There's a great way you can connect up. If you're lodging, what's in your foyer? Are you maybe offering an exhibit? If you're a lawyer's office and you've got a great foyer, what are you doing with it? How can we start to get more people coming out of the box and looking at how you really support the artisan story in your community so that you can claim, whether you're a restaurant, lodging, cultural site, you're an artist supporter or you are an artisan location in your community. So that's kind of the mix-up of how it all works. We do have criteria that you have to follow in order to be on a trail. So as soon as I stop talking, we'll pass out some of this information to you. And you can just ask me questions, depending on what kind of business you are. We really want to hear what your concerns might be with this coming to town, what it means to you. Is your studio in your home? Is it on Main Street? We know there are lots of questions that you'll have as we go forward. The Artisan Center of Virginia is located, our physical address is at the Frontier Culture Museum now in Stanton. It's just a small little corner of the dairy barn. We don't have any exhibition space or anything. We have stink bugs, many. But we are always there to answer questions. I've got an amazing team behind me of people who do different parts of making this all happen. They can answer just about every question. Just try to stump them because we have a lot of fun when those questions come in the door at figuring out and scratching our heads and getting back to people. But they're wonderful. And as you get into this and you start considering it, you will find that Kathy Johnson will be your best friend, walking you through the process. But we have a whole team there that, like I said, do different parts of this to be at your service. That said, it is a shared responsibility. For example, when you become a member, you're going to get a login code. You're going to get to build a profile on your trail's website. If you're already a member, you already have a profile, we're just going to pull it over and put it into the trail. Those login codes, though, give you the power to use the calendar. And you'll put your events on the calendar. We will tweet them and Facebook them for you. The trail now has its own Facebook, so we want, whether you're on the trail or not, we want to build a wildfire and get as many people engaged with that as we can. But we'll also Facebook you onto the Artisan Center of Virginia's main page as well. So any dated event you have as a member, you get it on that calendar, we're going to support you in that. You're going to share it, like it. We're going to start having that conversation going through that door to help you get the word out individually. And then eventually, this trail is going to have a beautiful print piece that will go in welcome centers across the state. We need to raise sponsorship money. We need to get lots of enrollment so that we can print as many of these as possible out of the gate, right out of the gate. So part of that shared responsibility is talk this up, help us grow this, and get that budget to where it's strong enough to print, I don't know, 40, 50,000, the first printing. That would be awesome. You'd be listed in here on this. And then once we inaugurate the trail, which is going to take about a year to get this trail built, once we inaugurate it, then the team, your action team, who I'll introduce in a minute, they're going to start talking about trail-wide events. What kind of collective things can the trail do as the trail? Do you do something that supports an already existing local event? Do you do open door tours once a month? Rappahannock County, right next to you, does second Saturday open door tours on their Artisan Trail every month. And in the beginning, it took a while to get the trail sites to get engaged, but now after a year, they got 20, 30 people every weekend doing something on that second Saturday. But it's also now, it got them in the habit of using our calendar, and now that calendar is full almost every week. So it's pretty exciting how it will grow in time. And your action team, these are the folks that are going to really be making it happen. Can you guys stand up a minute and introduce yourselves? I want you all to, because everybody else needs to see who they are. You may already know them, but not know they're on the team. So please introduce yourselves, everybody.
Okay, my name is Arlene Link. I'm with the Town Doctor here. We're Pottery Supply Store down on 8th Street.
George McIntyre with the Apple House.
I'm Holly Link, Apple House and Film Doctor.
Craig Laird with the Vine and Leaf.
Tim Smith, Farm World Visitor Center.
I'm Taryn Logan, County Representative.
Mike Budzis, Art in the Valley, new gallery on Main Street.
And Tiffany Budzis with Art in the Valley.
Nikki Foster, Chamber of Commerce.
I'm Amber Mitchell. I'm with the Apple House and BRAC.
Chris Pollock with Rainbow Views Vacation Rentals.
I'm Kim Crump with Blue Ridge Arts Council.
And I'm Alyssa Crump. I'm a dance educator and arts manager, and I've worked with Blue Ridge Arts Council and the Apple House, Chamber, and all sorts of things.
Thank you, everyone. Great. They've already put a lot of time into learning how this all works. They are your local connectors here. Obviously, check in with them, ask them questions too as things go forward. We want this to be a very engaging trail. We want it to have a very local voice. That's really important with every trail. Although there's a unified kind of design that you see, it's all about you telling your own story through the visualization. We'll be having a naming event. We're going to have another public gathering next month, but then in July at the Apple House, we need to get everybody to come together to figure out what the name of this trail will be. Right now the working title is Warren County Artisan Trail, but y'all are going to name it, and we're going to take you through a process to figure out what in the world should this be named. All right, so we want everybody there. You'll see emails. If you're on that email list back there, you'll get emails, you'll get notices about when things are coming and what things are going on. All right, so you ready for some information? All right, we need some helpers. I'm going to give out some of these. These are the trail guidelines and applications. One thing I will say is that we have a synergy program called the Virginia Oyster Trail, which is a statewide program. You can qualify to add that to your membership if you want. It's only like $20 more to do both trails. Because our system is so amazing, we can give you one login code and have your page show up on whatever website we choose to have it show up on. So in the case of the Oyster Trail, a restaurant that serves Virginia oysters could be on the Artisan Trail, and it could be on the Oyster Trail for an added little bump, not much. And we would point your profile and the calendar stuff to those respective websites. In your case, Chuck, if you made an oyster something out of your art, imagine, you're already a juried artist, so you show up on the Artisan Center of Virginia's juried artisan page, website, which is a separate website now. You would show up on the Artisan Trail Network website as who you are in that context, and you could show up on the Oyster Trail website. We have a potter, I think, on the Oyster Trail site that makes those really cool plates that you put in an oven to roast your oysters on. We've got a couple jewelers there. So it's within the realm of possibility if you think out of the box. And I encourage everyone who can think of a way to qualify to do it, because Virginia tourism, the Oyster Trail, is a wonderful synergy, and it adds this extra layer of visibility in the international sense that is branded to Virginia's oyster brand. And it's something different than when we talk about the Artisan brand as an artisan industry. We have a lot of mix, and that's just a one signature property that seems to get, it travels. I guess that's what I want to say, it travels. So we love it when you want to put those two worlds together, and we figured out a way to make it affordable and very, very time efficient on your part as a member of the Artisan Center. So I think that's it. You got some goodies now, and
Question,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. This is as you said, it's a collaborative effort, and the numbers really impressed me, the 2014 numbers. Could you tell them about the economic impact on this in the state of Virginia, and obviously in our community? The reason we're interested in doing it is that so a lot of you who have had no exposure will get some, but those of you who are existing and moving and doing things, this will stimulate more into this community, so that, you know, when you talk about raising taxes and things like this, we as community and members of this society here need to do everything we can to avoid that as well. So this is one of those efforts to help cut it. The investment is very small, and you'll find out that the numbers are very doable for most everyone. And listen to what Sherry has to say, though, as far as what has been going on.
well, and what's really exciting about that is my predecessor, Michael Dowell, who is the director of the Artisan Center, he tried to get truly the artisans of this state on the map, and it was tough back in the day. You know all the stereotypes about artists that you hear out there. Those are disappearing. We have come in now with this new initiative, and we take everything very strongly from an entrepreneur base. Our mission now is very focused on those small business entrepreneurs, but even more importantly, working collaboratively in community, not isolating one type of artist from another type of artist, but really trying to bolster that collaboratively. So in 2014, because of the growth trajectory we're on, the state took this seriously and helped us pull off an official economic impact study for the artisan industry in the state of Virginia. We partnered with our sister organization Round the Mountain so that we could have the full state encapsulated in that. And what was exciting is just that initial benchmark study performed by Shimura Analytics whittled it down to this is over $500 million in economic impact to the state of Virginia. That is what artisans at that time were putting forth in Virginia. That then gave us finally that leg to stand on to say, this is serious business. This isn't just hobbyists out there making pretty things. This is important to the state of Virginia. Fast forward now from 2014, and the Artisan Center of Virginia, just within our program growth, we've seen, I mean, it's tripled. It's tripled. So we know those numbers are changing significantly in the state. And as we look at our communities and we see how the trails are growing, when we see the economic investment that's coming into those communities, how they're really embracing what is authentically creative and original about their communities, we're seeing growth all across the state. I think in the small business sector, a lot of times this community is not well represented because they see small business as 50 employees or more with a different budget. We're talking about much smaller, often cottage businesses in our framework. So it's very exciting to us. The state has told us this year that they'd like to revisit that study. And we're looking forward to that because then we will have an actual growth measurement from the benchmark to now. But I can tell you in my gut right now, I look at some of the businesses that started with us as really small, around the kitchen table, one artist doing something, to having 3 or 4 employees. That is a great message. Are you all familiar with Ravenna Mosaics out on the Eastern Shore? Has anyone ever been out there? Wonderful story. Seriously, she was an artist, ceramic mosaic artist that built beautiful pieces on her kitchen table all by herself. She now has a company that is worldwide, employs over 180 employees, And when you go there and you see this shotgun of buildings where they operate, she's got artisans at tables, hand making mosaics for people's kitchens and bathrooms through the whole thing. It's a wonderful field trip if you ever get a chance there on the trail to go out there and see it. But that's the continuum of growth. An artisan, an artist, a farmer may want to stay at a level due to quality of life that they're comfortable with. They may want to grow. And something like this now, when the state embraces it as an industry, gets you taken more seriously when you want to go to the bank, get a loan, when you want to do these things. So that's part of what we've been very mindful of as we've been in communities working to build this trail. Is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Any other questions? I'm opening up for questions now. Come on. I know the barbecue was good. So tell me what you do. Yeah, tell me what you do.
Well, I work for Edward Jones Investments, and I work for Brett Herbeck, who is involved in the community a lot, and he asked me to come to see where we could be a part of this. How would we be a part of this?
Describe, so it's an investment business, and describe, physical landscape. Do you do receptions and that kind of thing from time to time?
We are expanding our office as we speak right now, and so we'll be able to have small groups there,
Okay.
but not large.
So, I think in the conduit of a supporter in the community, you certainly could come in as a sponsor. The trail does need some sponsorship. Sponsors receive things like logo placements, being on the brochures, recognition through communications, speaking rights at events, those kinds of things. But if you have that added asset where you can provide a meeting space or an exhibition space from time to time, then we can tap you into the conduit of saying, well, maybe you're not a trail site, but hey, everyone out there in the community, did you know this is available to you? So you then become a connector as well as a sponsor to the program. Okay?
So are there examples of really successful trails and not so successful
Yes.
trails, and what makes them
Yes.
each?
The not so successful trails failed in the beginning to really establish the engagement communication pipeline on the community level. Now, when I say they're not so successful, they're still here, they still have members on them, but the trail budget versus the membership responsibility is something right now that the trail side needs to have more bolstering and more enthusiasm. Those communities, though, have gone through serious upheavals. So you look at it in terms of the capacity of a community, and that has great bearing. We have some trails that have taken, we have one trail that took 3 years to develop because the community dynamic kept ebbing and flowing. They had lots of things hit their community, businesses leaving, executive directors leaving of major departments, all kinds of things. We had another trail that got built in 10 months because their engagement was very strong. So we really look at the community dynamic, and that, I think, is what is going to make a trail a successful trail. The one trail that did it in 10 months, does anybody have a Loudon? Yeah, here's one. Loudon County, when I went in there, they were ready. Like you, they've been thinking about it for several years. They had been approaching us, and they were finally ready. So when we got there, that first meeting, it was, we're going to do this faster than anybody else. We're going to get the word out, and we're going to make it happen. 100, it's the largest trail to date, I think 137, they now have 150 something, because they're still enrolling. Even though people didn't get in by the time the deadline to get on the train and get in the print, they're still enrolling. It's really very highly engaged. And this front part is a great indicator, because this is an optional thing you can do if you're a trail site. They had enough businesses opt in to put an image on the front that it boosted their budget by about $4,200, which allowed them to double their print. So, just really great engagement. It's still going on. That engagement translates to events and things they're doing now. But truly, I think it's a matter of this team talking with all the rest of you in an ongoing, open door framework that makes it work. Okay? None of our trails are gone. Let me just put it that way. Even though we have some that are what we call kind of sleepy, they're still there. We're still trying to wake them up. And our pledge is part of your membership fee is your Artisan Center of Virginia membership, us between you, and we will always fulfill it individually with the business. The other part of it goes into your trail budget, and that's the part that it takes a good active team to keep, lively, so that there's money to do fun stuff.
Why are they sleepy? Is it because there's not that many working artists there that are available?
No. It's because the trail team has kind of gotten distracted by other things in their community, and they just haven't pulled in to get some activities and things going on that wake up the trail-wide feel.
Then could you speak to the success of trails based on how many working artists there are in the community that would you say?
This team is building the trail, we have like a pie chart that makes sure we're keeping a balance in what it looks like in terms of its artisans, its creatives, its agriculture, and everybody else, to make sure there's not a tipping of the balance. One trail put a guide in their guidelines, and it's come forward in this one just as it could happen. It won't happen to you, but the Monticello Artisan Trail, Nelson and Albemarle County, because Charlottesville was known at the time when they built the trail as having more restaurants per capita than anywhere in the United States. They said that on their trail, where restaurants were concerned, those restaurants had to have local artists or be local sourcing agricultural products in order to be on the trail. Because if they hadn't, it would have become a restaurant brochure, right? A restaurant trail. And so they guided that process in the beginning to make sure that the artisan aspects of the trail were very, very strong. We try to keep it very well balanced. Every trail is different, but I would say there's always a very stronger number of artists and agricultural than the others when you put those two together in the pie chart. That's the strongest part of that pie.
For the individual artists, for them setting up, if they don't have a studio that somebody can come to, can you explain to those that are, as a hobbyist at this point, but moving forward, where
They might.
yeah.
In order to be on the trail, you have to offer a visitor experience. It does have that tourism pull to it. So you have to be willing to have people come to your studio. If it's in your home, if it's separate, wherever it is. If you're not comfortable with that, then we often will recommend you partner, maybe with another studio that would be willing to have a shared space with you. Or you look for establishments that offer that umbrella outlet. And then that umbrella outlet, they would become a trail site, and through them be able to promote whoever's on their premises. Occasionally, depending on the relationship of that art-related venue that might be umbrellaing, an artist might set up what is sort of a pseudo-residency. In other words, you have an agreement that not only will your art permanently be displayed or sold there, but that you're going to come in and you're going to teach classes and you're going to do demos and you're going to treat it like it's an extension of your studio in a more permanent relationship. In that case, we will often allow that single artist to claim that that location is their studio and be their site on the trail, all right? So that's a way to do it, but you have to have a very clear relationship with that venue, and that venue has to agree to it too.
So then would they both be on the trail?
Yep, yeah, and that's required. We're not going to let the little artist in there be a trail site if the venue is not. The venue really has to be the one that's establishing that firsthand.
So if there were a version of, say, the Torpedo Factory, an order of magnitude smaller, where a number of people lease a small studio space, they would be individual members as well as the collective.
Do y'all remember River District Arts over in Rappahannock? So River District Arts was a member, Old Rag Artists were a member, and about 10 of the studios up and down the halls were members. And it was amazing. You walk in the door and there were trail signs all down the hall. And a couple of them allowed River District Arts to have their, sign and put, so they had signs out on the road and on the doors and just everywhere. It was fantastic. We were sad when that building got sold.
There's another interesting part about that is, for those who don't know, all the counties surrounding us are members now. We were the hole in the donut.
They're good to
So, which didn't hurt my feelings, but that's why we were pushing hard too. And also, when you talked about, stepping back for a second, when you talked about how some places got sleepy, Rappahannock County got sleepy.
Oh, and now they
And now they are
cooking.
just otherwise.
And what it took was the management team that built the trail. First year in, they were pretty enthusiastic. Then all kinds of things in the community started shifting. River District Arts being kind of a catalyst for that. And they went sleepy. The team kind of went sleepy. They have this re-infused engagement, this team right now that is unbelievably kicking some fanny out there. I'm excited. They keep my office hopping. We are doing open door tour blog layouts for them, and it's wonderful. It's just like, throw us another crazy question and let's see if we can make it happen. The community engagement, they do not have a tourism office there, so that trail team now is actually becoming a pseudo-tourism entity in their community and is well informed by the community itself. It's the perfect collaborative mix that we like to see.
So in that type of environment, the term artisan is broad enough to include copper fox and things like that?
Yes. Agri-artisans. Copper Fox is an agricultural artisan, yes.
So
Wineries.
microbreweries, local,
Yes.
small?
Yes, absolutely. Again, the main constituency of an artisan trail are your creative and your agricultural artisans.
Together.
They're the underpinning. And those are the small businesses. Again, going back to the logic before, in the early days, bed and breakfasts had associations. Restaurants were part of chambers. There were already these strengthening associations helping those types of industries. There really wasn't one helping artists. And with the farming community, there were for big farms, but not so much the little guys. So when we pulled the trail together and saw this way to start building collaboration, part of that collaboration was to bring in those other hospitality industries to help embrace that artisan story and message and help these smaller businesses kind of move on up. Having a Chamber of Commerce as a part of a trails team is really critical for us too, especially when they understand that micro business framework that we're trying to help these smaller businesses sustain themselves out there in a more commercial world.
Another way of marketing that goes on, the team, what we call the action team, if you will, we have a program that we work with through Sherry. It's called the Base Camp. And if for those of you who don't know, that gives us instant access and instant comments to her and to her staff, so that if you come up with something and you don't know, just think of somebody you saw in this room and ask a question and throw it out. We'll throw it on and we have the answer that same day. And so it's a great way to broaden that. The same way we do it with festivals, with business promotions. You may have a dance studio where you're getting ready to start your fall program and you want to start having people signing up and this, that, and the other, or drawings or whatever you're doing. Get it to us to get on there and they'll put it out. And it's another way of marketing our community and sharing the wealth of wonderful things we have here.
Yeah, you all will have your own login codes to toot your own horn, but anything that's community-wide, this team is going to support because, let's say it's, what is it on Mother's Day that you're having a
Family Fun Day.
Family Fun Day, right? And that's a community-wide thing. So in order to get that on the calendar, one of the team will put it on there because it's a community-wide thing. But individually, each person who's a part of it that is a trail site should also put it on the calendar because then it gets pushed out there more times. So we want to see a lot of, don't rest on your laurels and think they're going to do it for you and that it's going to work for you. It may work as an aggregate, but you want to individually be able to say what your part in those things will be. All right? Yeah, we use a lot of trail metaphors like base camp, trail boss, lasso.
I have a question. Does that mean, George, that there is in place a mechanism now before we actually formally become part of the team?
Yes.
There is a mechanism.
Yes.
And how does one contact that
Well,
mechanism?
The action team base camp is internal. That's just the core organizers. The trail website is live. Go to, well, right now it's under artisantrailnetwork.org. Scroll down, click Warren County Artisan Trail. Once you name a trail, then it'll be yourname.org.
But you're saying that's present, that exists now?
Yeah, you have a trail. Your trail exists, your Facebook exists, it's there right now. If you've got 6 members on your trail right now, it's basically members of your team. They primed the pump, and they can start using it. It's active.
Thanks.
It's also a great way to find more information.
Yeah.
See what everybody's saying.
What's that address again?
Right now, go to artisantrailnetwork.org.
Is that somewhere other than?
It's on all the stuff you have. It should be on all the printouts that you have. And like I said, once we get through the naming process and then we have a solid name for the trail, that will change. You'll have your own, it's your own website. It's your own unique, it's tapped into the system. It's like a demi website of the Artisan Trail Network right now, but it will have its own world recognition in the marketing sense once we get its name. Okay? Yes?
Can you talk more about the web and social media benefits of being a trail member?
Well, the website right now, we just launched a brand new Artisan Trail Network website. It's in its beta testing where we're doing the punch list stuff right now. As soon as that's done, it gets its final little, facelift upgrade, and then we tack it into all the Google Analytics. So every trail will have that has its own designated URL is going to have its own analytics. So once yours is named and it's got its own name, then it will have its own analytics, and we can see how that performs over time. The other digital part of this is we have an Open Door Tour blog. So anytime a trail or a collaborative group of trail members on their own want to invoke use of that blog, they can. That's featured on the homepage of your trail's website, and it bumps right over. Go to any of the trails on the website, take a look at their homepage, click there, go to Rappahannock. I mean, go to the one that's singing right now. Yeah. And you'll see they're doing all this activity. The Facebook feed for your trail is right there on the homepage, so people can see what's rolling and scrolling through it. It's not just a little bump link. You all will get a profile page that's like a demi website. You'll get to put images on it, your artist statement, a spotlight. When your face image and your spotlight text are intact, you will rotate to the homepage of the main website, to the homepage of your trail website, and to a section called Stories that is on the website. And that every time the page is refreshed, different businesses, the face of the person and their little story, you can click right to it. There's online mobile responsive mapping with all of this. Hover over the little dot, it gives you the name of the business, the address of the business, click it and you go to their page, and it tells you all about them. One of the most exciting things that's happening with the website is we got a grant last year from Virginia Tourism. We got a partner in that grant with, believe it or not, a coastal water trail organization, and through that we're building a trip planner. It's going to be a first of its kind because after all the research we've done, we've not found anything that could do what we wanted it to do. And what this one's going to allow you to do is actually, in the system, pick and choose where you want to, the visitor, where you want to go, save it. It will create the map for you of your travels and give you all the information on where you want to go. It's an itinerary builder, basically. So that's coming. We actually have a conference call tomorrow to get the ball rolling on that, and we're hoping to have that out this fall. So that'll be tagged in as well. The trip planning mechanism right now for travelers is huge. More people are traveling digitally, but often when they're going into rural areas where there's no digital connectivity, they want to print a map. So we're going to give them that ability to do that ahead of time and have something that they can then print out and take with them. And then for you as the members, you have the calendar feature, which as I mentioned already, is all digitally driven and scheduled on your behalf individually. Whatever you have that is dated, and you get on the calendar at least 2 weeks ahead of time, plan ahead, we will help push that out the door for you. We'll play that digital spread the word game with you. All right?
So, tell me, it looks like by appointment only is frowned upon.
No. No, it's worded that way, and I'll tell you why it's worded that way. We do recognize that a business that has hours will attract walk-in visitors, and that's a business thing. We, however, when this trail program first started down in Southwest Virginia, they required you to have at least one day where you would be open to the public and you advertised it. We saw that as a big problem because we knew our community really well. The quality of life aspect of an artist or a farmer is huge. You don't just show up at a farm and expect to walk in and pet the cows. The lifestyle, your lifestyle is really woven into the fabric of what you do. And sometimes you have to be the gatekeeper on that kind of thing. I mean, I would really frown on somebody if I'm in a creative mood at my easel and having somebody come and knock on my door when I just mixed my epoxy, right? So we do allow by appointment. We just want you to know, have the understanding that with some of these fast travelers, if you don't answer the phone, you miss the business. We did have a group of ladies go on a trail trip of one of our trails, and as they were planning their trip with one of my board members, they were calling ahead to make appointments. Well, there was one gallery that just no answering machine, and they really wanted to see it. They loved the pictures they saw online and everything. They really wanted to go, but no answering machine. Nobody ever answered the phone, and they tried and tried and tried. So the day of the trip came along, and as they got up into, it was a long drive, and as they got up into that community, they saw the sign for this. It was a gallery. It wasn't just a studio. It was a public gallery. And they thought, let's just try. And so they swung in, knock, 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 knock. Nobody answered the door. No sign on the door that said gone to lunch. Literally, they had gone to lunch. They did not have an answering machine, and they'd gone to lunch. And so these are just business things that say, people are trying, they might be trying to get a hold of you. Have an answering machine, call people back. By appointment requires that you at least follow up with people and give them your phone number, your address. Okay? Email address.
How would an architecture firm do it, or would it?
Woo! Architecture firms are very cool because they are artists at their core, right? Well, you have a studio, right? And would you be willing to have people, entertain people, visitor experience kinds of things? Like, I can think of all kinds of ways that an architect might invite just somebody to see what you do. Not that they're a customer right now. Now, if you're looking for customers, though, for me, it's a longer leash for you because that's an engagement, like a commission, but different. But still, I would think you have as much art. It's just appreciated by a different type of consumer. I don't see why your studio would be any different from a fine artist. Mm-hmm.
That awareness, that you were an architect. I mean, that's
Tell your
wonderful.
story.
Yeah.
Tell your story. It's like, why did you get into it? Why do you do it? What floats your boat? And is that a story that others would be interested in hearing? We have one writer. In all of our system, we have one writer on an artisan trail. He's a poet from Page Valley, Page County, Luray. And I asked him, I said, well, what's your visitor experience? He said, well, they can come to my writing studio. I'll show them my writing process, what I do. I'll do a reading for them. He now has school groups coming in, and he does readings to the school groups. He's by appointment, which is great. But he had to have that visitor experience piece. He just couldn't be a writer that says, go to the bookstore and buy my books. Okay? Yeah.
I saw a lot of other jurisdictions, they are more of a regional thing. They'll have multiple counties. While we're focused on Warren County, we want people to come here. Are there benefits to having a multi-county artisan trail? And then second part to the question is, what can Warren County do to make sure now that we're filling that hole in that donut to be a better missing link to bridge all this regional partnership?
Whoa, you need to get him on the team. All right, first of all, the logic of a single county trail versus multiple county trail is one that the community makes. Rappahannock County, I think Culpeper and Fauquier both wanted to partner with Rappahannock County. I think the way they found out about the trail is I was actually presenting in Culpeper, and Rappahannock filled the room that night. And they said, no, we need you to come talk to our community. Well, they thought maybe this wonderful triad was going to come together. And Rappahannock said, no, we want to tell our own story. We want our own voice. We don't know if we have enough people that are going to do it. We don't know if we're going to make our budget, but we just know that we want our own identity. And that's why they decided, all right? Northern Neck, have you ever been there? Oh my gosh, it's a lodging desert. So in order for really it to work within its collaborative, we had to partner up a lot of trails. Now, it's a lot of territory to cross in from one county to the next, and every county has its own unique aspect to feature. But it made sense because of the way the traveler, the geographic aspect of it came in, the fact that they had a history already of collaboration, that they always partnered in tourism as the Northern Neck, that made sense. So that's a very, very strong partnership of counties there. Winchester Frederick started out just as Winchester Frederick, thinking that they wanted to have their own identity. And when the new tourism director came in, he was like, how come Clark's not a part of this? Because, I mean, their chamber works together, their art council works together, and it was like, duh. So literally 3 months before they were about to go into the design phase, whew, in came Clark. And it was a perfect marriage of two counties. They work well together. So we look at the geography, we look at the way the roads are going, we look at their willingness to partner, and do they have a history of collaboration, and are there already some organizations that are crossing the streams there. You just happen to be coming in, as he said, the hole in the donut. They've already built these trails around you. So now you're going to have your own voice, your own story, like Rappahannock. You're going to make this yours. What we want to see now is regional collaboration, trail by trail. I'm very excited because when Round the Mountain finished their 15 trails in the 19 counties of Southwest Virginia, the investment going into the trail is up front higher than the rest of the years because we want to print this beautiful print piece, and that's an expensive proposition. So all those communities did that, but they weren't necessarily going to ever do it again. So how do you now market the trail system? So regionally then, they started working together to print a booklet basically where every trail was featured, and then the cost was spread through the whole region. This is something that I think this region, now we have the entire northern Shenandoah as Artisan Trail region. It's the second one in the state, and now that can be branded. That's something Virginia Tourism can take to Canada and say, visit this Artisan Trail region, visit this Artisan Trail region. So in that collective, you will have power and strength. If you start now partnering, I mean, why not do something with Clark County? Why not do something with Page? I mean, start partnering up. Let's build it. Let's build it first. And then partner up. I think there's strength in numbers, and there's power in numbers, and there's economizing in numbers.
One quick point too with that, to answer your question. One way to start today with that unification, that collaborative effort, is to do, because of the value of social media, is share. Anything you read about this community, share it with your people. In the same respect, take it and when you share something in it, you make a comment, put your name, put your website, or put the Artisan Trail website for us, and let them keep seeing it. That's a very inexpensive, doesn't take a whole lot of time, and that's one of the best ways to just keep putting it out there. Keep putting it out there.
He's right, and what you're going to find, this is already happening across our trails. We have a wonderful trail site in Page Valley, the Birdsong Pleasure Garden. Have any of you ever been there? You got to go say hi. This gal loves all the trails across the state. She's liked every one of you, even though she's in Page. And when you post something that makes her excited, she shares it with everyone. She's not in your community, but she's helping to be. I asked her one time. I said, "You want a job?" She didn't. But she is really such a trail ambassador because she loves everything artisan in the state of Virginia, and she is very tapped in. If you all will go to the website and look at each trail, like their Facebook, you're already connecting in regionally to what's around you, and maybe even to the Eastern Shore, getting people out here. Because that's how the wildfire gets spread. is through those connected doors. And when we share it on our website, we're hoping they're all going to do that back for you as well. But there are some that are already doing it. They're connecting the dots. Rappahannock County, early on, I'm not sure if they're still going to do it, but they were talking about partnering with the Northern Neck Artisan Trail, Rappahannock County. It's like where the river begins and where the river ends. They were thinking of trying to do something that, I don't know if they're ready for it yet, but how exciting would that be, right? Just think out of the box and let's build it. Right now you only have 6 people on this trail. So let's boost it, build it, and I think then let the games begin.
I just want to make a statement. I'm a transplant from Pennsylvania, and I've seen a lot of nice things happening in Front Royal and Warren County the last couple of years, and especially the last 2 years. This is the next step to help not only our community, but our fellow artists, restaurants, businesses, or beds and breakfasts. And as we work, if we work together as a community, it'll only get better. So hopefully we'll get everybody here to sign up.
There will be bugs, but we'll figure out, we'll work them out. You've got a great team here. They're going to help us learn about you and how to navigate it, and I think in the process they're going to learn a lot about your community that they may not know as well. We do find that happens a lot. Yes, Kim?
I don't know if it was mentioned, but I would like to point out and thank the town and the county for their participation in this endeavor as well. They've each given $5,000. So 2/3 of, they've pledged that amount or given it already, so.
Yeah, you
So
already
that's a huge
have
help.
a great foundation, an underpinning.
Yeah, and not just their financial buy-in, but their support of the project with their energy and enthusiasm.
They've done their due diligence.
Yeah.
So I think right now it's up to the rest of the community to become engaged and, and please remember this, it's not going to be for everybody. So we don't want anybody to be strong-armed into this at all. We want you to have fun with it. We want you to make it work. For an artisan, there's a setup fee of like $40, and then there's an annual fee of $50 or $60. You're putting some skin in the game, but you're going to work collaboratively, and you're going to share in this experience with us and do your part. But is $500 worth of business going to come to your door the first year? I don't know. It's going to probably depend on how you play with us in all of this. We're going to provide the tools, but we're not going to make any grandiose promises that it's going to rock your world because we don't know what you're bringing to the table yet. All right? So let's roll up our sleeves and make it happen. Any other questions? All righty. All right, we're here. Why don't we mingle? Y'all get up, talk to each other. Oh, before I let you go, how many of you in the room are artists of any kind? Okay. How many in the room are agricultural artisans? Or a crossover of? None? Restaurants. How many restaurants are here? All right, good. Lodging properties? All right, good. Yay. Cultural sites, like, a historic property or
Performing arts.
performing arts. Excellent, excellent.
Galleries, art
Galleries, art galleries, art venues. Galleries and art venues that umbrella others. All right, good. Good mix. Good start to start with your artisan community as the foundation membership that gets this going. But let's spread the word to get the players to all come together. Okay? Thank you.
Feel free to get donuts or drinks or anything you want over there. And if anyone didn't bring money for their lunch, you're welcome to have lunch.
Now,